Hey guys, it's Mountain Prepper, and this video I'm doing to clear up something that I said in an earlier video that I did. Um, in the video Prepper's Log Ammunition, I made a statement about the 22 caliber firearm, and in that statement, I basically said that now this is not verbatim. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I basically said that the 22 caliber firearm was useless. When it came to protection or man stopping or whatever. And I've always felt that way. I mean, I think it's a very widely held misconception that the 22 caliber is, you know, so light and just a little step up from a pellet gun, and always little kids get 22s and all that kind of stuff. And my first firearm was a 22, and so I've always kind of had this image in my mind of a 22 as just being a kind of a little toy gun, a plinker that you use to for birds and groundhogs and raccoons and pests. And I kind of changed the way I feel about that because a few days ago, I was talking to my brother, and he actually he went to work with me one day and one night, and I was kind of covered up with work, and I had a lot of stuff to get done, and he needed a little extra money. He's a college student, so he went with me to make a little extra cash and help me out. And we were driving along, and we were talking about some of the rougher neighborhoods that we were in, and about concealed carry permits, and some stuff that had gone on in the neighborhoods that we were in that night working. And he mentioned that a friend of his had been shot and had been out of school for about 2.5 months. And I didn't know. I mean, my brother's 8 years younger than me, so our circle of friends are totally different, and I didn't know the kid. But my brother knew him really well, and had went to school with him all through grade school, junior high, high school. Knew his brothers and sisters, knew his parents. And he told me this story, and when he did, I thought, wow, man, I can't believe that. But anyway, I want to share this story with you, and let you think about it and see and understand that just because something is a 22 firearm doesn't mean that it can't do some real major damage. Now, this is a story, so this is an oral story, so this video is not going to be exactly entertaining or fun to watch. This is just a story, and it's a true story as told to me by my brother, who got all his information, like I said, from the kid and the kid's brothers and sisters and the kid's parents. Now, there's two characters in the story that were involved in the incident. One we're going to call the kid, and the other we're going to call the guy. And basically, this is what happened. The kid was a college student and was at his apartment late one evening. And he had a knock on the door, and he went up and answered the door, and the guy was standing at the door, and he pointed a 22 caliber pistol at the kid, and forced him back into the apartment, where he shut the door, and then made the kid sit down on the couch. Now, the kid doesn't remember all of what the guy said. He was scared, obviously, and the guy was very irritated and anxious. And basically, he was there in a case of mistaken identity. Either he had the wrong apartment complex, or he had the wrong apartment number. I don't know what the deal was, but he was convinced that this kid had a large amount of prescription medication and the kid didn't have it. And the guy went on for an undetermined amount of time, screaming at the kid, trying to get him to give him this medication, these pills. And the kid he doesn't know how long it went on. He just knows that the longer it went, the more scared he got, and the more anxious and the more on edge the guy became. And then, out of the blue, for whatever reason, either the guy realized that the kid wasn't going to give up the prescription pills, or he realized he'd made a mistake and he was just trying to cover his tracks and get the hell out of Dodge. For whatever reason, he lifted the .22 caliber pistol and back towards the door, and without warning, without saying anything, he fired 2 shots into the kid's torso. And the first shot, which I don't know if this was the first or second shot actually, but for this story, we're going to say the first shot. Since the guy was standing and the kid was sitting, and he fired the weapon, the bullet actually had a slight downward trajectory, and it went into the kid's chest, and it collapsed his lung and lodged into his kidney. And then the guy fired again, and the second shot hit him square in the center of his chest, and it actually hit his breastbone. And when the bullet hit his breastbone, the bullet shattered, and it went into several different pieces, and one of the pieces either nicked or severed an artery, which caused some fairly substantial internal bleeding. And then the guy opened the door and ran out. Now, 2 things saved this kid's life, and I'm not a doctor or a paramedic, but I believe this is to be true. 2 things caused this kid from sitting on that couch and dying within minutes of this happening. Number 1, he lived in an apartment complex, and he knew a lot of people that lived in the apartments in his complex, and they knew him. And it was late in the evening, but not late at night, and most people were still awake. And when they heard what happened, they came to help. And the second thing that saved this kid's life is that he lived on the same street and about a block and a half away from an emergency room. And so when his neighbors came to help, his friends and neighbors, they got him in a truck, and within minutes, literally within minutes of being shot twice by this .22 caliber handgun, the kid was receiving trauma care in a emergency room, and he survived. Okay, he did survive. He was in a coma for 3 weeks, and he spent another month and a half or so, in step down, I guess is the only word I can think of, therapy and observation and that kind of stuff. And he was out of school for a little over 2 months. But my point is, I made a mistake, and I think a lot of people make this mistake in thinking that a .22 caliber can't really do any damage to a person, when in fact, it did some major, catastrophic damage to this kid. And he's a 20-year-old kid, healthy, played sports when he was in high school and stuff. He wasn't a weakling by any means. He's your average 20-year-old guy. And, without those 2 extenuating circumstances, he would have died. This would have killed him. So, it really changed the way I look at a .22. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this story probably felt the same way I did, that, .22 can't really do much to you. I've always heard, unless they shoot you in the head, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not true. And this proves it. And I just wanted to share this story. Anyway, take it for whatever it is. All right, guys, thanks. Thanks for watching the video, and I appreciate it. And I'm out.